How far is too far when it comes to gore in horror? And would you rather a film go all the way or hold back just enough to actually get released? What's good, everyone? I'm Travis, and this is the Final Cut, your daily pulse in horror. Today is Monday, March 23rd, 2026, and we are back. Fresh off of South by Southwest, back from Texas, back to the regular schedule, bringing you the news, the updates, and everything you need to know in the horror space. Before we get into it, we will start off with a quick shout out to our sponsors. Over at Grove right now, you can pre-order The Haunting, arriving May 26 on 4K Ultra HD plus Blu-ray for $32.99. Also available for pre-order, dropping April 21st. Good luck, have fun, don't die. You guys see me wear that hat here. On DVD, Blu-ray, digital, and 4K. And don't forget, March Movie Madness is still running all month long. Hope your brackets are still alive. Over at Fanatical, you've got 4 days left to build your own Infinity VR collection. Crimson Desert 15% off. The Premier Mystery Bundle available now. World's Edge deals live, and Death Stranding 2 on the beach is 10% off. There's also 7 days left on the Build Your Own Killer Bundle, all part of their spring sale. Hit those banners over at HMU NCUT and let them know Horror Movies Uncut sent you. Now, let's dive into today's top stories. First up, we start with something we've experienced firsthand. If you've been following our South by Southwest coverage, you already know we saw Obsession, and yeah, we loved it. Big shout out to Indy Nervate. But now we're getting a little more insight into just how extreme that film originally was. Director Curry Barker revealed that one of the film's most brutal scenes had to be toned down to avoid a NC-17 rating. And when he says toned down, he means he cut 6 or 7 additional head smashes from a single scene. Let that sink in. That's not trimming fat, that's removing an entire layer of violence. Originally, the film pushed far enough that it risked being unreleasable in mainstream theaters. And that's always the balancing act in modern horror. How far can you go before distribution pulls you back? The film still hit hard, trust me. The crowd reactions at South by Southwest and TIFF were loud, physical, and exactly what you want from a midnight horror screening. But this also tells you something important about Barker as a filmmaker. He understands impact over excess, because even after losing those extra hits, the scene still lands, still gets screams, and still sticks with you. And with Focus Features dropping $15 million to acquire it, they clearly saw something worth protecting, even if it meant dialing it back just a little. My question for you guys though, do you want uncut extreme horror, or do you prefer your films that know when to pull back? Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. Next up, this one is interesting. There's a secret horror film shooting in Rhode Island, and the casting call tells you everything about the tone without telling you anything about the story. They're specifically looking for actors 18 to 23 years old, people with braces, people with acne, comedic and improv performers, even a tuba player, and they're paying up to $1,246 a day for speaking roles. Now, here's what stands out. They're not looking for polish, they're not looking for perfect, they're looking for real. And that lines up with where horror has been trending. More grounded, more uncomfortable, more authentic, because when horror looks too clean, it stops feeling dangerous. And if this is a high school-based horror project, leaning into real world faces instead of idealized ones could make it a hit way harder. We don't know the title, we don't know the director, but we do know the intent. And sometimes that's enough to raise an eyebrow. My question for you guys, though, is do you prefer horror that feels polished or horror that feels real and a little messy? Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. And finally, one of the more interesting concepts to come out of the studio system recently, Searchlight is moving forward with a new horror project titled Bad Hand. And the team behind it is pretty legit. Directed by Chloe Okuno, who gave us Watcher, written by April Wolf, Black Christmas, and produced by Elizabeth Banks. The premise? A kindergarten teacher survives a hit-and-run accident only to discover that her right hand has developed a mind of its own. And not just any mind, a violent one, a revenge-driven one. This is one of those concepts that sits right in that sweet spot between body horror, psychological horror, and a little bit of dark humor, because the idea of losing control of your own body is always unsettling. It's kind of got like a school teacher, kindergarten cop meets idle hands is what this sounds like here, right? But when it comes to being targeted in violence, that's where things get really dangerous. And Chloe Okuno has already shown she knows how to build tension through control and perspective. So this could end up being something that's less about spectacle and more about internal breakdown. My question for you guys, though, is does this concept sound like straight horror to you or something closer to a thriller? Let me know your answers in the comments ahead. Today's take. Coming out of South by Southwest, one thing is clear. Horror is in a really interesting place right now. You've got filmmakers pushing boundaries, studios pulling things back just enough, and audiences still showing up for both. The question isn't whether horror is evolving, it's how far it's allowed to go. Today's Spotify poll, what kind of horror do you prefer? Extreme uncut, psychological restrained, realistic grounded, or high concept experimental? And if you got a tip, a story, or something we need to be covering, DM us at HMUNCUT. We might feature it on the show. That's today's episode of The Final Cut, your daily pulse in horror. We're back in rhythm this week, back on schedule, and we got a lot more coming off that South by Southwest run. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, and if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, follow the show. I'm Travis, and as always, we'll see you tomorrow. More news, more updates. Until then, you know the drill. Keep the lights on.